Hi, welcome to this lesson on troubleshooting, preparing for your CompTIA Storage Plus exam. I'm Nigel Poulton and I'll be your trainer for this lesson. Okay, so what will we cover in this lesson? First of all, we'll talk briefly about baselining, both configuration and performance baselining. Baselining is all about capturing how things look on a good day or when things are working as expected. The idea being that when things aren't working as expected, you can compare either the configuration or the performance to how it was when you took the baseline, when you knew that things were working as expected. The classic example being during a performance problem, and you've produced some impressive looking performance stats, but when someone asks you if the stats are showing good performance or bad performance, you really don't have any idea. I mean, how do you know if 10,000 IOPS with a response time of 10 milliseconds is good or not? After all, good performance can often be subjective. For example, a response time of 10 milliseconds might be fine for one use case, but totally unacceptable, let's say, for a low latency trading system. So, by having a capture of how performance looked on a good day to compare to when things are bad, suddenly you can start to see what the stats on your impressive looking charts are telling you. And the same also goes for configuration. An example here could again be around performance. A database administrator might be telling you that they've noticed that performance has been slowly deteriorating over the past 2 or so weeks. Your performance charts prove that he or she is right, but neither of you has any idea why. So you decide to compare today's configuration with that of a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and 3 weeks ago. What you notice is that over the last 3 or so weeks, the storage array's auto-tiering algorithm has slowly started moving these database volumes down to the lower tiers. You then compare the array and LUN configuration from today and 3 weeks ago, and you realize that 3 weeks ago, when you installed a patch to your array's firmware, the patch changed the auto-tiering algorithm's configuration. Previously, it had been configured to aggressively move data to the higher tiers of storage, but at the time of the patch installation, the patch changed this setting to favor moving extents down through the tiers. Now, noticing something like this would be much harder if you only had today's configuration to look at. Having previous baselines, either in the form of documentation or configuration dumps, makes it much easier to see things like this. This is one of the reasons that it's highly recommended to take configuration backups prior to making any major changes. That way, you've got an old config to roll back to if the change goes wrong, and you also have a snapshot of the system configuration that you can refer back to if you ever need to know if anything has changed in the interim. And on the topic of taking configuration backups, you may also want to schedule automated daily configuration backups for these very same reasons. So that's baselining. Nice and simple, but it is important when it comes to troubleshooting. Okay, so for the remainder of the lesson, we'll be talking about troubleshooting techniques, troubleshooting tools, and some common infrastructure problems. So let's walk through a few example scenarios.